Well, hello there guys, welcome back to some more Flashpoint campaigns. I want to give everybody a huge thanks. This series has really been quite successful, and I want to keep it that way. I want to make sure that you guys keep on watching. Now, we're going to go ahead and be sending this unit right here, the tank unit, down the B3 over here to this victory point. Now, I'm going to take this unit, he's getting to the A1 as you can see there, but I'm actually going to move him deliberately over here. I want to try to get to that 700 point and retake it from the Soviets. And hopefully really bring the fight to them. I'm also going to take my tank division. Now, he's going to be trying to go north, but I actually think I want to change this. So I'm going to select the stack, and I'm actually going to move hastily into town, in fact, into Steinbach. So we're going to be fighting enemy tanks head-to-head. I think it's important that we take the fight to town, so that's exactly what we're going to do. For the most part, we've already sent all of our units out. And one thing that a user suggested, which is a really good idea, is since we really can't do much with our Kiowa in terms of, taking points or destroying enemy units, we're going to go ahead and move the Kiowa over here behind enemy lines just to see if we can't see what they're doing. So we're going to start, guys, and hopefully we can go ahead and get a victory here. Now, this is 29 minutes of game resolution. Of course, I don't think it's going to take nearly that long in real time, but as you can imagine, there's a lot going on here. We just got a beautiful ATGM launch on the enemy, and it looks like we took out 2 BMPs and a mechanized rifle division. Things just keep getting more and more interesting. As you can see, some of our units are moving. We've also got those artillery units, which are firing as well, and we're continuing forward with those tank divisions. That's going to be really the most important part, I think, of this entire fight, is getting those tank divisions forward as soon as possible. It looks like we killed another T-80, getting a lot of great kills here on the enemy. Our unit's going to fire again. Can we get another kill? I'm not sure. Now, the one issue is here in Schippenchen, there is some issue with the enemy moving through and us not having much defense. Another thing I discovered is Buchholz is actually a real town in West Germany. We were trying to discover whether this was one large city or whether it was a town, and in fact, Buchholz is a town in Saxony. So we are currently fighting in Saxony in Germany, which is quite interesting. Looks like we just lost 2 Bradleys, so things aren't going too rosy for us, as you can imagine. But we're trying to hold out here against the oncoming Soviet tide, as I would call it. So here we go, guys. A lot of Soviet units here. We are bringing those tanks down to try to retake all those victory points around town and in town as well. But I think it's going to take a lot of work, and to be honest with you, I'm just hoping that our men have some ATGMs to fire at those enemy tank units. As you can imagine, those tank units are pretty ferocious, and we're going to need to really work at it to get some good kills on them. You can see that tank moving down, and there's a hit on a BMP. That we just killed 1 BMP, sure enough we did, and a mechanized rifle division, basically an infantry unit, which I'm very happy about. Let's go ahead and get a shot with this tank. Now, this tank is trying to move south in Steinbach. That's really one of our main goals, is to try and get in the town with the tanks. We've got an ATGM launch. I told you, some of our infantry divisions still do have anti-tank guided missiles. Fortunately, this one missed, and unfortunately, we actually took a hit on one of our Humvees, losing a heavy machine gun Humvee there in that hex against the T-80 tank. And it's a shame, because we could have certainly used it on the infantry units across the bridge here, but battle is battle, and we just lost a Bradley as well. At this point, it's going to be very tough for us to stop this invasion by the Soviets. Now remember, these Soviets came with a full armada, and we only had a basic defensive force. It was only later in the battle that we actually got these reinforcements that you guys are seeing on the left of your screen. So we're going to really have to work at it if we want to try to retake this area and ultimately score a victory. Seeing as this is my first time playing Flashpoint campaigns, I don't feel too bad if we lose, but I was looking for a win. By the way, another T-80 killed. At this point, I feel like we deserve a medal for at least the amount of T-80s we've destroyed, which has been significant to say the least. We really have destroyed a ton of enemy T-80s. There's an ATGM launch hitting an enemy T-80 tank. Couldn't be happier with that. When the infantry starts getting kills with ATGMs, it really makes me happy, guys. And looks like we got another T-80 and a third T-80. Look at that. We're just nuking these guys out of orbit. Fortunately, we did lose one of our M1A1s, which is our standard battle tank. And there's still a lot of tanks moving up here to the north. Now, I was going to send one of the tank units north to attack them, to try and capture them, but I just don't think that's going to be possible. Besides, we've got tanks coming from the west that hopefully can put up a good fight against the enemy here. What I'm really curious about is what the casualties look like right now. After all, this battle has been going on for quite a while, and it's going to be interesting to see just how many men the enemy has lost just how many men we have lost. And obviously, I'm sure the mayor of Buchholz is going to be pissed at both sides if he hasn't already left the city, because the eastern side of Buchholz, in fact, just about the entire city, has experienced some severe damage. There's another gremlin kill right there. The gremlin isn't too important because, quite frankly, the only thing he can really take out is our Kiowa. I think he might be able to, and there's some emergency resupply. Ooh. I think he might be able to target infantry divisions, but we haven't seen the gremlins attack the infantry divisions as of yet. Then again, they haven't gotten close enough, I think, to target them. But that is something to keep in mind. And there's another enemy T-80 gone. I told you, if they're going to come into this section with our infantry in the north, we've got a lot of infantry divisions here. They've got ATGMs. We've also got some tanks. We might just be able to wipe out these T-80s completely, and that would really help us, guys. There's another ATGM launch. Let's hope for the best. Fortunately, we didn't get there, but pretty close, and some emergency resupply for our men, which we desperately need. ATGM launch, hit the T-80 again, and another T-80 killed. I'm loving that. So we really are trying to coax the enemy into coming to the north of the town, where we actually have some very stiff defense, and I'm thinking we could probably kill a number of tanks. It's going to be another one down. Another T-80, guys. 2 T-80s killed by the infantry. We've got to keep this going. If we could keep this up, we might be able to stop them very quickly. Unfortunately, that mechanized rifle division, who's been trapped behind enemy lines for a very long time, finally succumbed to his fate. There's really not much we could do about that. And it looks like the Kiowa finally went down. Damn it. I was hoping that the Kiowa would survive, but unfortunately, he went down. Let's hope that the crew survived that crash. Assuming they got hit by enemy tank fire or BMP fire, there is a possibility that they're going to be okay. If they got hit by an SAM, surface-to-air missile, there's no chance they survive that. As you can see here, conditions have changed today. Clear, max visibility, 6,250 meters. That is massive. Almost 6 kilometers of viewing power, and it's going to help us. We just destroyed that final T-80 in that group. Looks like we just hit an enemy infantry division, a heavy machine gun unit, and this is our chance to get some major kills with our existing units. Of course, when visibility improves for us, as you could probably imagine, it also improves for the enemy. So this is not a one-way street, but it certainly is an interesting situation. If you guys haven't watched the last few episodes, I highly recommend you do. A lot has happened since, one of them being we lost our main commander, so the command is actually shifting to a subordinate, and that's going to take a while to really put itself in place. So in the meanwhile, our men are kind of operating as basically single individuals. And there's some enemy artillery fire in Halmscheppenschen. I was hoping to avoid any damage to these other towns, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And they actually got some really nice artillery fire right there where we have a ton of infantry units. I'm definitely worried we're going to lose someone, but it looks like they might be okay. They're going to fire again. The Soviets definitely know where to fire here. But so far, their artillery has been ineffective, and all they've done is pissed off these citizens of Buchholz even more. There, they finally got a kill. Looks like we're going to lose 2 mechanized rifle divisions, 2 infantry divisions. That is a major loss, and it looks like they've hit the buildings they were aiming for sure. Definitely not something I wanted to happen, but this is war, and unfortunately, war is not always fair. So here we go. Another shot by the enemy. It looks like they're actually targeting these infantry units. Come on, boys. You can see south of Dibberson and north of Buchholz, a lot of dead Soviet vehicles, and these dead Soviet vehicles are all over the place. This entire area, all these woods, I think, would be on fire with all of the gunfire going on throughout this battle, and I'm just hoping that with the amount of enemy units lost, we're going to get a default victory. They've just lost so many. I think just about anyone would consider this a default victory. And there we go. Another commanding officer has been killed. So that's our second commanding officer that has been killed. These guys are on the front lines, of course, commanding troops. That's switching to the third CO. And it's going to be tough to hold on. Losing 2 COs, definitely not an easy feat to continue the battle with 2 dead COs. But hopefully we do okay. I mean, this is, after all, the Cold War turning hot. This is not expected on our side, so of course we're going to be just a little bit unprepared, to say the least, and I think our commanders could say the same for them. Alright, some shots. I think all those woods, all that cover, as well as the terrain itself, is going to make it very hard for us to get a shot from the B3 highway. We're still going to try, but I think it's going to be a tough fight for us. and you can see more enemy T-80 tanks moving into the town. There's another shot and a miss, of course, by the 3rd Battalion. Unfortunately, we just lost another Bradley due to the T-80 right there actually, across the river in Steinbach, because realistically, they are in Steinbach, everybody, Steinbach or Buchholz, and it's going to be tough to crack this nut. Come on, boys. Do your best. Do your darndest, damn it. You can actually also take a look at the morale and readiness of each unit if you take a look in the lower right-hand corner. And it looks like the morale of a lot of our units and the readiness is not so good. And it kind of makes sense. I mean, this is a major urban battle for the guys in town, in the city. And obviously there's street-to-street fighting. There's a lot of gunshots going off, a lot of, turrets being shot. Rockets being fired. It's going to test the mettle of anybody. Now here we got a pretty good shot with our artillery. I'm hoping it results in an enemy tank kill. And even though we didn't kill an enemy tank, we did kill an enemy BMP, which I will gladly accept. Obviously, anything is better than nothing, but really killing an enemy BMP is pretty good. Of course, that unit of 12 enemy tanks is not making me happy. It seems like no matter how many Soviet tanks we kill, 10 more show up, which is frustrating to say the least. Come on, boys. And unfortunately, the enemy has claimed that victory point. We tried to retake it with that APC. We retook it temporarily for 1 or 2 turns, but it didn't last, and I can kind of see why. It's just way too hard for that situation not to turn terribly, terribly awful for our troops. At this point, they are just throwing everything they have at us, especially to the north. They see we're there. They already have the center of Buchholz. It's totally under Soviet control. Prepare for being sent to the gulags. But I'm hoping that we can retake it, and look at that. The mechanized rifle division was destroyed. And you can actually see all of those blue marks basically south of the K-13 road. And unfortunately, we've lost a lot of men in that particular area. And I think there's going to be a lot of casualties in general in that northern area of town of our forces. It's kind of going to look like what the Soviet forces have all around the town. Obviously, they had to be the ones to enter. And because of that, they definitely took some nasty hits. One lone tank, we're going to call him the Tanker of Dibberson, because we have shot at that guy next to the 700 point in the north so many times, and he just refuses to go down. Kind of frustrating, but I got to respect the guy. I mean, he certainly knows how to maneuver his tank. He survived this long. He might continue to survive. As you can see now, the Soviet units are trying to kind of surround our men, and this is definitely a cause for concern. We just got a nice shot with our tank on the enemy T-80 there. Another T-80 kill. Destroying these T-80s with the M1A1s is actually quite easy, I have to admit. It's really not much of a challenge. The challenge comes when there's too many enemy T-80s. Right there, we just lost one Stinger. Also counts as an HQ brigade. Now, the Stinger missile, I believe, can only target enemy airplanes, enemy helicopters, etc. As you can see, we took a nasty hit there with the artillery in the north once again, and that's a Bradley going down, an M2A1. Definitely not looking great for those guys in the north, but they're going to fight to the very end. At least I think they are. And they have pretty good morale despite their situation, so they're certainly, very confident, but I don't know if their confidence is going to play out here. There's just too much going on. Over here, we've already got our tank firing on that unit right there, but it's going to take a while. And we did lose another mechanized rifle division. We still have these two tank divisions, though, that are still hanging out north of town. I'm hoping they're going to get some serious kills, but only time will tell. Come on, boys. Come on, another shot at the Tanker of Dibberson, and a total miss. I don't know if this guy has a guardian angel protecting him or what's going on, but he's getting support from somewhere, and it's not making me very happy, let's put it that way. right, here we go. More of our vehicles moving in, and there we go. Nice shot. We actually killed one BMP. I was hoping for a tank kill, but I'll take it. Our tank is getting some decent shots at least. You always wonder whether or not your tank can actually see the enemy units and target them, and in this case, he definitely is able to. And we've got units to the far north. I didn't expect them to go that far north, but they definitely are. It looks like they're covering the entirety of this map. There's another shot from our tank division with another T-80 down. This one trying to make a quick headway into town, and I'd love to be responsible for taking out all of these guys, but I'm not sure I'm going to be lucky enough. You can see everywhere the Soviets go, they seem to leave behind carcasses of their tanks, but their goal is to keep on moving and keep on taking areas. Here's an ATGM launch by our infantry unit, and it looks like it probably flew right over the enemy tank and probably hit some house in some neighboring village. We have not been kind to the civilians in this area. Neither side has been. Just tremendous amounts of bombardment, tremendous amounts of missed ATGM launches from both sides, missed SAM launches, etc., that probably landed somewhere in the village, and the evidence is right there in Buchholz. If you take a look, there are so many craters there. I would imagine so many homes would be destroyed, and this city would look like what Mosul looks like today, or at least getting to that point. Here we go. Opening fire. Definitely an ATGM launch. It's good to also see our tankers from the west approaching these areas quite quickly. Our guy at Dresstedt, we've actually kept him there. I didn't want him to move any farther because I kind of want to basically guard against the enemy moving towards Kackenstorf. And with this many tanks, I think they're probably going to make it, but we can at least sort of be the vanguard of that area, and we might even send some more tank support there if we're able to really help our men. The amount of T-80s is just unbelievable. I mean, it totally makes sense if the Soviets, which in this game they are declaring war on us first and basically launching a surprise attack. It's no surprise they're going to come with a ton of tanks. Nice shot there, killed a T-80. Let's see if we can get a second one with the ATGM launch. Looks like we can, but you know what? I'm happy with that shot by our tank division. Just need to keep up the firepower here. And unfortunately, one thing I don't like is our artillery, which we've moved into a certain direction to get closer to the enemy, is moving directly in front of an enemy tank division, and I'm almost certain there's nothing they can do to counteract that. So we're probably going to have to retreat. Hopefully next turn we don't get shot this turn, and we have time to pull those units back. I'm going to make that a priority, basically, hasty movement way back to our lines. Whether or not it's going to work, I'm not sure. Only time will tell. Come on, boys. For freedom. I still can't get across the bridge at least, but they're certainly trying. Fire! Come on, kill that T-80. There we go! Beautiful shot! Another T-80 down. If we get that other one, we might even be able to move those tanks into that victory position. That victory point position and retake it. And I'm not sure just how much is left of the entire battle. I guess it's 751. Quite a lot. I mean, these are very long battles, and I like that. Hopefully we'll get some more reinforcements. I think we've got quite a lot with those tanks, but I think to retake this town, we're definitely going to need more. Remember, this time we're going to be on the offensive. The enemy's going to be on the defensive. They're going to have the advantage. That is to say, if we don't manage to retake the great town of Buchholz in West Saxony. I do hope we have that chance, but I can't tell you that's going to happen, my friends. As you can see now, we've actually lost visual on a lot of the units in Buchholz. We've got, obviously there's fog of war in this game, and we have definitely lost visual on the units in Buchholz. There's probably quite a few tank divisions there, and they can move freely because we can't see them. So that's definitely a safe zone right now for the Soviets. That central point in Buchholz, which leads out to multiple roads into town, is definitely a location that they can feel very, very safe. And I wonder how many Soviet reporters are right now reporting on the glorious victory and destruction of the capitalists in this area. So we did target the enemy HQ with our artillery, hoping to get a kill. I'm not sure if it was the greatest idea, but we're going to see what happens, obviously. and I would love to see a kill. And once again, like one of our guys suggested, our guys fired, but this time they actually got an unbelievable amount of hits. Look at that. Look at that. I've never seen artillery get that many hits. Oh my gosh. Whoa, we just killed a ton of enemy units right there. We didn't get a pop-up, but you could see those red sprites basically trying to cross the bridge into Steinbach. We just killed a lot. Good call by the artillery. Looks like they've improved their aim just a little bit. So there we go, guys. It is our turn. Obviously, the battlefield is looking bloodier and bloodier every single second. And one thing I do want to show you guys is up here in the north. You can see we also took a tremendous amount of casualties here. Of course, nothing compares to what the Soviets have gone through. I mean, they have really had a rough day. Let's put it simply. They just have wrecks everywhere. Hope it gets to the point that they just say, you know what, this is not worth the fight. But I'm thinking since this is the first mission of the campaign, I'm hoping we can lose this and still continue, because you guys do seem to like this series quite a lot, and I don't want to let you down. So if you do like the series, remember to hit that like button, try again, comment, subscribe, etc. And let me know if you guys are enjoying it. We'd really like to hear your feedback. Thanks so much, guys. Don't forget to share with friends, and have a great day.